Welcome back to the program. Joining us now from the Pakistani capital is political analyst Javed Rana. Javed, welcome to the program. Javed, let's start with the latest developments from the occupied Gaza Strip. Now, over the last few days, Israel has killed over 100 people, and most of them, as usual, are women and children. But Trump says that Israel has the right to attack. What are your views on that? Do you think that this ceasefire is going to continue like this? Trump says that the ceasefire is back in Gaza, but do you think that Israel is going to violate this again?
Well, I think what is the reality on the ground? The reality on the ground is that these are the pauses in the genocide. There is no ceasefire. Because had there been a ceasefire, 200 people so far would not have been killed and hundreds others would not have been injured. I think there have been more than 100 attacks since this so-called ceasefire agreement. What do you make sense of this ceasefire agreement when there is no let-up to the killing of the people, when there is no let-up to the atrocities being committed? I think this is a very systematic plan. This is a kind of a parallel plan that Netanyahu has been pursuing for years, and he's determined, he's a hell-bent upon implementing it no matter what happens. Now, I think because of the pressure from Washington, more particularly from President Donald Trump, it looks like these are the pauses. And look at the reasons, look at the justifications with which the apartheid state have come up with, on at least on the two occasions. In one particular case, they say that there are concerns from the family that the remains of their loved ones have not been handed over, and Hamas is playing politics. And then they are also blaming Hamas that the Hamas attacked and killed two of its soldiers. Why would Hamas attract aggression of Israel? It doesn't make sense. There are so many other factors which could be possible behind all these kind of what looks like a kind of a tiny false flag operation by Mossad, where the justification was created to carry out these attacks. Now again, once again, they are killing children, they are killing women. Where are the Hamas militants? They are not there. So I think we should not blindfolded ourselves. We should not be blindsided by a bigger reality, which is on the ground, that these are the pauses in the genocide. We don't know what exactly is going to happen, but certainly before the second phase of this ceasefire agreement starts off, I think that there's going to be crucial political decisions which are going to be made by the Muslim countries, more particularly Pakistan, because Pakistan has now lately indicated that it is at an advanced stage in its consultation to send its troops to the Gaza. Now, what is going to be the mandate of Pakistan? What is going to be the mandate of the other Muslim countries, more particularly of Egypt or more particularly of Indonesia? So I think before the second phase of the so-called ceasefire agreement starts off, Israel probably would have killed hundreds more Palestinians, and it would have caused much more suffering to the Palestinians. So I think this is where the real problem is, and we can understand why Donald Trump time and again is playing down, and other officials are playing down of what is happening in Gaza. The reason being is that Donald Trump doesn't have much options to deal with Netanyahu.
Javed, the Qatari Prime Minister has said that Hamas is ready to give up governance in Gaza. Do you think that's going to happen?
Well, Hamas has a declared policy that it is willing to hand over power to a Palestinian coalition partners, and that would be built up, it would be cobbled together by all factions of the Palestinian. Hamas is not saying that it is going to disarm itself. Hamas is not going to is going to be ready in a position where it is going to be dismantled politically, socially, and more particularly militarily. So I think what I can foresee very obviously that the Hamas will be willing to hand over its part to the other Palestinian factions, and it will keep its military force intact. It will simply move inside the social fabric. It will stay there. Its cadres would be very much in the police. Its cadre would be very much whatever the shape of the paramilitary force which the Muslim country wants to build up. The bigger problem is that what will happen with the so-called peace board, which Donald Trump himself wants to head. and what is going to be its scope and what is going to be its shape and who's going to be the real governing authority in the occupied Gaza. And I think this is a very tricky situation. Once the remains of the dead bodies of the Israeli captors are handed back to the Israel, I think the real shape would start coming into onto the surface, that what will be the shape and what are the differences. And I don't think that Donald Trump has done sufficient homework on this, because at this particular point of time, many countries are reluctant to join this so-called international stabilization force, and they're pointing out that this is the time that the UN Security Council should be there and there should be a resolution, the mandate should be determined. However, Israel, through USA, essentially is struggling hard that there should not be the Turkish troops, because they are very much doubtful for obvious reasons that the Turkish army would not undertake any step, any measure which go against the core interest of the Palestinian. Yes, the Turkey has an influence on Hamas, and many things can be done politically, and that is where Netanyahu has a problem. In case of Pakistan, frankly, there are a lot of speculation and there are a lot of lingering doubts to what an extent Pakistan can go, because in Pakistan there is not a representative government, a government which was literally selected by the powerful military through a widely rigged election. So in Pakistan, the sentiments are that the Pakistani military should not put its military foot on Gaza in a kind of a situation where it will have to confront militarily to Hamas. So I think the broader context is that Hamas would be willing to hand over power back to the Palestinians, not to any Western puppets who may be imposed onto Gaza.
The growing tide of anti-Israel sentiments. What you see behind me is just tip of the iceberg of what is happening in the country. More than half of $52 billion black CIA budget is spent on espionage network in Pakistan. How would you handle it?
The US has looked upon Pakistan as an ally at one point and then as an enemy at the same time.
That is going to be the first legal reason on the basis of which he is going to be instantly ousted by the Supreme Court of Pakistan.
Joining us live, Javed Rana, who's an expert on politics and geostrategic issues.
In the world politics, which is not being driven by any moral principle, it is being driven by the hard geostrategic realities. In a broader picture, more countries would aspire to have nuclear weapons.